bom dia,
Hello,
bem-vindo.
good morning, welcome. My name is Bia Hayes. I'm a journalist and a publisher of the blog at Estadão's Blogger. I want to actually say thank you for everybody who is with us. Also, I want to say thank you for the participation of our guests, and I will introduce them to you. So first of all, we have Cynthia Spaggiari. She is a product specialist and a curator of Leiturinha. It's a children's book club. How are you, Cynthia? I'm fine. It's a great pleasure to be here today. Also, we have Elizabeth Serra. She's the General Secretary of the Children's and Youth Book Foundation. Good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here today. Jorge Moisés Crowdo Prado. He's the president of FEBAB, Brazilian Federation of Librarian Foundation and also institutions. Hi, Jorge, how are you? Hi, Bia, good morning to everybody. It's a great honor to be with you here this morning. Karine Panza, she is the honor and also works as vice president of IPA, the International Publishers Association. Yes, Bia, I'm fine. Thank you. It's a great honor to be here with you. Roberta Caldo, she is the Center of United Nations worker for Brazil. It's a great pleasure to be here. And Vitor Tavares, he is the president of the Brazilian Chamber of Book, CBL. Are you okay, Vitor? Yes, Bia, thank you very much. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and I want to congratulate all the participants of this roundtable. So today's debate is about ODS Club. For the ones who are not familiar with the acronyms, we are talking about 17 in the total. Among them, we have the eradication of poverty and also the fight against the climate change. And for ODS, we have to actually disseminate the topics for children through books and literature. The National Foundation of Youth and Children's Book chose 175 books, and these are part of ODS Book Club. If you want to know what are the selected books, please visit our site, ods.com.br. I will start talking about the dynamics of this meeting. At first, our guests will have 5 minutes to talk about this topic in a general way. Afterwards, we will have some questions, and then we will answer questions that are sent to you. So if you want to ask anything, please send your questions through the chat. First of all, I want to invite Roberta. Roberta, you are the guest to start your introduction. Can we start with you? Yes, Bia, for sure. It's a great pleasure. So first of all, I want to say thank you for the Brazilian Chamber of Book, not only for the invitation, but also for the initiative of the Sustainable Development Initiative. And I want to say thanks to everybody who is participating in this event today. The reading club related to sustainable development of the United Nations was created in Bologna, Italy. The idea is to foster children from 6 to 12 to understand more about sustainable development topics, which is a group of objectives where the UNO, the countries that belong to UNO are related and are trying to introduce and encourage children to involve editors, schools, and parents in this project. And it's also a great possibility for having these books as bibliographic references. We understand that reading is the media to understand several realities around the globe. And it also helps us to reflect about our own reality. And right now, in this pandemic moment, it's paramount to have other sources, to have access to other sources of knowledge. The 17th Sustainable Development Objective have been actually found or developed to actually uh, extinguish poverty, to protect the environment, and also to help fight the climate changes. So this group of words, sustainable development, says that the objective wants to actually serve and help the needs of the present without being hazardous to the future. Therefore, we need peace, economic growth, and protection of the environment. And at the end, all the sustainable development are part of the global efforts to improve life quality of everybody around the globe from all countries. So the implementation of ODS is not an obligation of UNO or a single country. It's a shared obligation among non-governmental organizations and intergovernmental institutions, including the Brazilian government, the federal government, state, and municipalities. So everybody is responsible for ODS. I am responsible, you are also, and we are part of this effort. So the Reading Club for the Sustainable Development works directly with ODS 4, which is related to quality, 16, which is related to peace, justice, due to the public access to information, and the last one that aims partnerships and implementation. Once with your partnership, this is becoming a reality. So ODS is in our daily life. The clubs already exist in the 6 official languages of UNO: Arabic, French, English, Russian, and Spanish. And now we have the Portuguese language, which is a language that is spoken for more than 200 million inhabitants in Guinea, Mozambique, Portugal, Saint Tomé, and the East Timor. All these countries are part of the United Nations. On behalf of UNO, I am here to say thank you on behalf of the Brazilian Chamber of Book, Children's and Youth Department and Books for Young People, and the Brazilian Federation for Librarians, Scientists of Information, and Institutions for the selection of the 175 books published in Brazil and for making this project real and reachable for the Brazilian people. Bia, the word is with you now. Thank you, Roberta. Betty, I'd like to have you talking to us now. Good morning once again for the ones who are watching us. I will actually read my part in these 5 minutes, considering that usually I extend too much and I lose focus. So I will start reading the words that we wrote for the release of the dissemination or advertising of this event. More than ever, hope and the trust that unites us in the 2030 agenda is towards a planetary sustainable consciousness. And the creation of the book club, the reading book club, exponentially gives the possibilities for dialogues, and also they are seeds for a future crop. In Brazil, we have the literature, we have didactic books, and these has to be part of the lives of new generations. Knowing old and new stories we can dream, we can actually act, and we will not leave anybody beyond or behind. We have UNO's objectives and challenges, and one of them is the access to books. And for us, having the reading club makes us able to choose the literature that will actually give children the chance to talk about the ODS. It will also give us generosity to talk to children. And I will mention José Saramago's quote, open quotes. And if the histories for children started to become mandatory reading for adults, would they be able to learn for real what has actually been what we have to teach for so long? Close quotes. And trying to work with literature is part of the conscientization of making our youth conscious about what is needed in the planet. And with regards to literature, I will refer to Antonio Cândido, open quotes, the function, the education role of literature is more complex than only the pedagogical line, close quotes. And also with regard to the selected books, there is a text for educators and other mediators of readings about the concept that guides our work, and that is also available in our website. And we take the opportunity to say congratulations to UNO for the publishers organization and association for the initiative to create the reading club, actually honoring reading and literature. And we want literature to become an important mark of this decade. And now, officially, we are a permanent partner for the 2030 agenda. For the ODS, we have the Reading Club. We have the responsibility for the books that are published. And we have to say how important literature is and reading is in the lives of all the children and youth as a right. Literature expresses life. Children are the future adults that will be making the difference and change the world to a better world. Therefore, they have to live with art in all its aspects. And I'd like to emphasize that we have a trust environment with our partners, the FEBAB, the Brazilian Chamber of Bub. It was very important for the success of this project. Also, Adriana Terrari and the teams, all the support we had from these institutions, our interlocutors together with UNO. And our special thanks to the readers, 19 readers that voted for the selection of quality books that aimed our institutional objectives. We also re-elected literature for youth and children and the ODSs to become the topic of the 23rd seminar that will happen in September. The second will be virtual together with the Institute UCA, with indigenous people, that will happen in September. For the seminars, we hope to have a virtual publication about the reading clubs. Take the COVID vaccine and use your masks. Thank you, Betty. Now, Vitor Tavares. Good morning, Bia. Good morning, Bia, and all the colleagues and everybody who is following us, people from the chamber. And for me, it's a great privilege to be right now with the role of being the president of the Brazilian Chamber and to actually lead this important initiative. When Karine presented this project to me, I thought, whoa, this will be a major work. And yes, it was a major work, but it was a very pleasant work. And this is the role of the Brazilian Chamber, to take the Brazilian literature to all the regions of Brazil and also around the globe. So I want to give a special thanks to Betty from FNLIJ, Roberta Caldo, that participates here with ONU together with Brazil, Unique Rio. Karine Pança, she is the vice president of the International Publishers Association, and also the director of the Brazilian Chamber of Book. Thank you for this initiative. And Jorge Moisés, the president of FEBAB, Elizabeth Serra, Cynthia as well. She is a trainee and she knows how to deal with this product, which is the actually disseminator of culture and knowledge that is the book. It's a world transformer. She's the founder of Leiturinha. It's a book club. And I am very honored and thankful. I know that the Brazilian Chamber has in its scope the diffusion or dissemination of the Brazilian literature and the defense of the reading diversity for our authors, writers. This is our role. This is our objective. Every time when we have such a major action happening, even with our colleagues from Portugal that are together with us in our project to take the Portuguese language, the book written in Portuguese, for the bigger number of regions we can. This is a work of many people with a focused thought in changing the world. And one of the objectives we have is the eradication of poverty. So imagine with these 2 years of pandemic, how many people dropped under the poverty lines. And in Brazil, we can see in our large cities, how many people are living in the streets with no food, with, poor conditions. And I believe that this is a contribution that honors me a lot, because I think it's very important to change this inequality of income, mainly in the underdeveloped countries. We have to fight against this. We have to eradicate poverty. And if we do nothing, we are actually jeopardizing future generations and our generations as well. So we have to do something. And I am very happy to be together with you right now. So book is an essential source of ideas for the human development and all the aspects that help to harmonize the living in the planet. So to stimulate books with topics such as equality and sustainability, it's as if we are actually trying to grow a seed for hope in the world. So this is a great initiative in all aspects. When children grow in contact with these learnings, they will have current habits and future habits to give value to each objective that is proposed by UNO that can transform the world in a much better place. So good morning to all of you. Thank you, Vitor. I want to invite now Jorge. Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to be here representing FEDAB, FEBAB, launching the reading club. FEBAB has already worked with the 2030 agenda since the beginning of 2016, and all its thematic and program technical scientific works were around the 2030 agenda since 2017, let's say. So FEBAB, together with its associations of librarians, state librarians, working groups, and in Brazil, we have worked aligned to the 2030 agenda and with our international federations of librarians. So this is already a 5 years old work since the 30 agenda, and we believe that the libraries are important parts and pieces, also strategic pieces to disseminate quality information. And now we have the reading club, as Vitor has already mentioned. Our region in Latin America and Caribbean since 2016 is back to the FORMI map. It becomes the region with the major inequalities. And then we have this paramount role to disseminate the books that are part of the ODS book club, because a lot of individuals will not have the guarantee to have the access to these books. So this is the objective of the public libraries and also the school libraries, due to our target public, to actually allow access to this information. So the more institutions we have, and it's a great honor to be with you in this initiative that actually aligns with FEBAB's work. So the reading club will be a very important tool to dissemination of the agenda of the ODSs. And I believe that in 9 years from now, the target public, the children who are 16 or 12 now, they will be 21 years old then, and probably will also have a democratic and a civil consciousness. And this is very important. So thank you very much on behalf of everybody who invited us and all the entities, but mainly Adriana Ferrari, Katia Lingman, Graci, who are part of the board of our agency and are from FEBAB, and also have a very important voice for the selection of the books. Thank you. Thank you, Jorge. Now, Cynthia. Well, for Leiturinha, it's a great honor to be present and also to make this project viable in Brazil, to make it feasible. And when Karine invited me and explained the dynamics of ODS, it was very easy internally to present the idea, because all the dynamics is the core of our product. It's the dissemination, the advertisement with curatorship of Brazilian literature especially. And we believe that such a project, and I believe all of you have said something like this about the moment we are living, such a moment with so many negative messages, but the messages that are brought by the books and literature, it has a potence to actually form the minds of these young readers. And we have the hope to actually save them from all these pandemic moment that we are living. Thank you, Cynthia. So now we will close this first part with Karine. Hi, Karine. Thank you, Bia. For the ones who were not with us throughout the formation of this reading club, it was a process around the ODS 17, which are the partnerships. So everything starts at IPA in Geneva, with frequent contacts with people in UNO for books, for books that we actually wanted to disseminate towards the sustainable development. And then we had the idea of creating a reading club where we could advertise a list of books for the youth and children's readers, which is the population that will be our future. They will be our future managers. They are the future thinking minds. And together with IPA, we thought about how to foster and such a list. And then IPA looks to the partners again and invites IFLA, which is the Association of Librarians, and invites IB for the children's books. And we start to think how each institution could help this process happen. And all this work, this joint work, when it comes to Brazil, we together with the people from New York, CBL, and to implement this project, to actually have this process of choice and choosing all the books, and mainly the Brazilian books, we actually had to make it happen. So we went to Leiturinha, we explained all the process and the restless work and volunteered work for all the people who are with us, the readers, the librarians. Everybody worked for the choice of these books. So we started in September last year, and we could advertise or actually put it to the public this year. So it is something that makes me very happy to actually make all these partnerships to be settled, and with one sole objective, which is to have one more list of books that are directed to the sustainable development objectives so that our population can have access to them. So I want to say thank you once again to UNO, CBL, to FEBABI, to Leiturinha, and all the individuals who worked in this project, believing on this product that we are creating. And now, after this list that we have, the 175 books, what we want to see and what we will see in the next seminar that will happen in the afternoon, it's about how to create this list, how this list will be a benefit and will bring results for what we expect. And within this group, this international group, we already have, or we have already launched, as Roberta has mentioned, in the 6 official languages of UNO. We also launched in Norwegian, in Indonesian, in Portuguese as well, in the 2 versions, Portugal and Brazil, German, Italian, in Netherlander, and Suhadi, Arabic, French, and English, so 4 languages. And I would say that this is a project that is growing worldwide, and we have a lot to talk about it in the future. So I am very happy and thankful for this opportunity to work within this project, and also having all these people working together for a common objective. Thank you, Bia. Thank you, Karine. Well, so now we will go to the second round, which is a round of questions. I want to return to Roberta. Roberta, UNO has created, you created all these partners, the reading club, to actually bring children closer to the sustainable development objectives. I would like to hear from you about what is the importance for children to be close to these topics when we think on the society development as a whole.
Obrigada, Bia. Eu
Well, thank
costumo
you,
dizer.
Bia. Usually I say that a child is as if we had an empty HD, an empty memory. So everything that you want to grow in their minds will become something. So if we have the possibility to put the child in contact with powerful messages such as sustainable development objectives, and as a very powerful vehicles as a book. So it's perfect. It's the perfect combination, because you can actually have, in a very simple way, the transmission of messages such as, if we do not take care of the planet, if we don't take care of each other, we will never go further, and we will never have a good place for everybody to live, because children are free of preconceived aspects. And if you actually send them these messages with the books, as Vitor has said, books are the instrument of change. So it's very powerful. It's a very powerful way for you to actually create roots for these concepts that for us adults came later on. I wasn't raised this way. This wasn't my education. We believed that we could do anything in the planet Earth. After a while, we found out that, oops, this is not true. We have to take care. Otherwise, not everybody will live well here. So when we transfer this concept, since the first contact children have with reading, this is a very powerful way, not only for you to consolidate the messages of the sustainable development objectives, but also helping them to share this information with their parents, grandparents, relatives, and they can be other people that eventually didn't learn this, as I didn't learn this in my childhood. So I believe that this is something that I can consider importance to disseminate the content. It's not only for the children. You will actually share these messages to the professors, teachers, parents, to all the network around the children. And I believe that Elizabeth or Karina mentioned that we will be creating a seed for the future managers. They are the ones that will lead. They will elect the governance that will help us take care of this planet. They are the ones that after a while will manage the cities, the states, municipalities, and the country and the planet as a whole. So I believe that to be part of this universe is very important. I usually say that we cannot actually pray for the ones who already know how to pray. We actually have to talk to the ones that are learning. So through literature, which is the best mean to find things about the world, I think this is paramount. This is essential. It's very important to have a reading club in the ODS with this initiative. So to actually what you're saying is to actually to open the bubbles, right? Yes, exactly. Vitor, ODSs, they cover contemporaneous issues. And somehow these issues are already covered by several authors. Do you think that the arisal of the reading club ODS can actually help to cover this topic with more frequency in Brazilian literature? I don't think. I am sure about it, because Brazil has a very rich bibliodiversity. We probably already have this ready, but not transformed into books. So we have to go and search for these contents, transform them into books, and then disseminate the ideas within the 17 UNO objectives in this reading club. I believe, and I am very sure about it, and I believe that we will actually motivate the ones who already produce and new authors, so that new authors can produce facing this new reality, because maybe you have something that is already produced but is not focused in the reality and in the future. But the reading club will actually leverage a lot, and it's very important for the press to help us disseminate the reading club, ODS reading club. And with this dissemination we will wake several authors that might want to write about these topics related to the 17 UNO objectives. And I believe that this will be leveraging, and it's very important to have the dissemination in the chamber, Karine, and how the other people will actually be able to access this content that were selected from uh, all these parts. So if we consider that we have thousands of books written and 175 are already in UNO portal. So it's very important to have this dissemination. Through the dissemination, we will go far. Thank you, Victor. Betty, I'd like to hear from you about how did the choice of the books happen, the books that are part of this catalog. Tell me about the process from the enrollment of the books, from the part of the publishers, about the voting, readers. I'd like to have an idea of the dimension of this process, of the entities that participated in this entire process. First of all, I'd like to say that this universe that we have is a universe that started from the enrollment of the publishers. So this was the kickoff for the arisal of and for new books, and that motivates teachers, librarians to search other books. As Victor said, our bibliodiversity in books is amazing. We know that several books that are already published could be part of this list. We even thought about enriching this list afterwards. So the support to Leiturinha is that when we started in August, September, how are we going to do this? Mainly considering the pandemic and no access, but with the support of Leiturinha, we could actually have a platform where the publishers wrote following the regulations. It's very important to mention that uh, all this process is a volunteer work from many parts, and there was the enrollment, and this base was very important for us to actually cover the gap from the absences that we have from the physical books. And the ones who fulfilled the first stage actually had access to all the books through PDF, which is a remote way. It was very rich and allowed us to unite, to get very united once we are isolated. And the first stage was the selection phase in September or December, and the second phase was from January on. So December, then January, and we are talking about 19 readers that were located around Brazil. And it was a very rich process. We actually built block by block, having a general guidance, but the participation and knowledge of each of these readers was very, very important to us. And this is a major asset that the association has, because it's a link we make with these people, and there is a commitment with the population so that this work will actually uh, take care of the quality. So we have the books, we have topics, themes. We checked the quality of the books, and the challenge to us was to actually make that puzzle with the ODS. So the first move, when we had more than 1,000 written titles, then we had 980. And after that, this 19 readers group, we divided in subgroups. And in these 4 months, we had monthly meetings with all the participants. And then I divided this list of 980 for each group. And afterwards, we actually had, we shuffled everything and we distributed everything, but we had a focus in quality. We had an intensive reading work for quality. And then we had the other phase when we checked if that title would fit or not to the ODS. And then we did actually the final choice. And there we actually could notice that the result didn't follow a rule, let's say ODS uh, uh, 5 has to have such and so titles. No. Uh, one ODS has one title and one ODS can have 27 titles. So we kept it this way for the books that were the finalist books from this reading group that tested the quality of them and the insertion of them in the ODSs. So you can see that the list has a major variety of ODSs per title. And I have here with me something to share. To summarize, in these 175 titles, 139 are Brazilian titles and 32 are translated titles. It's very important to refer to the translation. IB was taught by Ala Lepon and had a bridge of books. The translations are the bridges to the others. So we also understand since the beginning that the translations would have to be contemplated. So in this total of 175, 32 are translations and 4 books are written in Portugal. And there are some books from us, few, but there are books from us. So this is our list. And basically this is it. And I believe that the experience when we start from the content and our vote actually gave birth to the books that are ready for access of the readers, and we felt the necessity to position ourselves with regard to this fact of the reading of literature, which I saw very clearly from the beginning. It's not a didactical book. It opens the ludicity. It's what changes. It's related to emotions. It, it is the part that will make people sensible, and it's the result of the work of the group that is the creation of this document. It's a very well done document that was constructed or was elaborated by the group, and it's a concrete result from our reflection, and that will actually be in the seminar of the foundation to go deeper in these aspects. And we are together with ODS, and we are expecting to leave this possibility. Thank you, Betty. Karine, I want to go back to you. You said that when you opened, you said about the process from the discussion, from the debates about having or not having a reading club. So my question is, what about the visibility, national and international visibility that a book has when it's part of such an important catalog? What is to come to these books? Well, besides more sales, this can happen as a consequence, as a direct consequence to be part of such a project, but this is not the main objective. But being part of such a list, it brings to the publisher and to the author a seal. This is a seal that this book, although it hasn't been thought to fulfill an ODS, and I believe that the majority of them were not written with this objective, it's there fulfilling an objective, and several of them have more than one ODS that they fit. And this is valuable. Within our nation, within our world, we want to disseminate this list so that schools will have access to this list when they are working the 2030 agenda. They will have a reference of subjects that have been pre-selected and that have been thought in advance to fit. And in the libraries, in all the works that are elaborated, George said that FIBAB works the 2030 agenda since 2016. So probably they are working the 2030 agenda ahead of several people. So they are light years ahead of us. Adriana participated in the work group, and when she tells us the experience of all kinds of discussions or debates that happen in this process, it puts the librarians in a position that is actually ahead of us. So we know that librarians are the people who work with the books, and they have to have all the knowledge tools. So this possibility to work the book within the development, the sustainable development objectives, bring a big value to the books. And internationally, besides being a seal that you can work, we can have this book being sold internationally. So you can work the sale of the copyright, no, the use of the copyright to sell the rights of the book so that they can be published in other languages. Nowadays, we have some publishers that are focusing their books in sustainability, the environment, and there is a direction for that. So we're not talking only of consequences aspects, but we are also considering the commercial aspects. And the publisher has to think about it. And it's not embarrassing. This is not a shame. All of these are the options that we have and the possibilities that we also have. And we will work for the future. And if we think of a second list, we have already talked about a list of books for adults, and maybe this can be another possibility. So we are talking about several possibilities, infinite possibilities. Jorge, I'd like to actually relate to what Karina has mentioned, and she talked about the ODS utilizations for some years. I'd like to hear from you what you have done and how the libraries, the public libraries and the school libraries can help to disseminate this list. Okay, as I have previously mentioned, the 2030 agenda was the start and was the focus point of our Congress. And it is very, very big in Latin America. So from that point on, we actually started having the agenda, the 2030 agenda in 2017. So 1 year after that, with the mapping of FIBAB, we tried to find examples of projects and activities that were idealized by libraries. And we thought at first one representing each Brazilian state so that we would have a book of actions of library activities related to the ODSs. And then we have the book, Libraries for a Better World. This book is available digitally and online for all of you to read and get inspired. We always disseminate this for the libraries that also aim to work like this. This happened in 2018. And right now we are actually updating this book because we noticed that 2 years after the publishing of the Congress of 2017, in 2019, we heard more about what has been done, thinking on the 2030 agenda. So 2 years have passed and the libraries come after us and they ask, how can we actually have this in our scope? How can I monitor the ODSs? How can I apply the objectives that are aligned to the ODSs? I'm talking about 169 objectives. How can I put these objectives in the projects. And then FEBAB can give support for the themes, for the work groups, more technical themes, more social related themes. We have one theme that is related to ethics and the racial issues, and also typologies of, we have to consider typologies and types of libraries, public libraries, parliamentary libraries, school libraries, and so far. So since the beginning of this year, we have worked with this, and also we have some projects that are aligned with IFA that works strongly with the 2030 agenda. And each time more, we have to actually align ourselves, give more tools to the libraries, because we are in the action decade. It's the moment to put all these ODSs in practice. We have some years ahead of us. Thank you, Jorge. And Cynthia, you are the curator of a major book club for children in Brazil. Could you please tell us about the criteria that you use for the choice of these books, for selection of the books, and if the topics that are covered by the ODS are among the, the topics that you have? Well, I will try to summarize a little bit how we do the curatorship. At Letrinha, we are already 7 years old, so I have been throughout these years. We only had 1,000 members. Now we have 205,000 families to serve, and we have to reach those houses with a surprise book that will not be actually censored by the parents, and that will please the parents, that will actually help them have a very special moment, and that they will be talking about that book. So summarizing, we are reach 0 to 16 years old, and we have 7 categories of reading that are according to the age group of the children. So we think about what will reach that child. So the main premise that we have today is the publisher exemption, because we believe that we can't have only one eye towards it. And we think about how to assemble that category, a library. We understand that each child is unique, and there is a possibility to actually move forward and explore these categories. And with regard to topics, this year, we talked about the curatorship, how it was going to happen, do a planning. We have done this in several ways. Some years ago, we actually felt the need to explain to the publisher market how the curatorship happened. And we had a major support of CBL that opened their doors to us. And in 3 events that were actually fantastic, we could discuss with the publishers about how our choice happened, and everybody also came to our home. They actually were invited to an afternoon coffee, and we had a close talk to them about the premises. We also have a theme that is related to the sustainable development objective, and we work on that since 2015. And this is the topic that we always have, and we choose 14 books of the month with this topic. And the campaign is called the Little Conscious, and all the books follow the environmental consciousness. So we always have these topics with us, and for sure the ODS Club and all these books will be another layer for our planning for next year, for sure. So we are talking about 175 books. 25 will be sent by Leiturinha to children's homes. And this is a very good number of books. So we checked what we already had sent, and we were very happy to see that we had 25 books. from the list. So our premises change each year because we listen actively to our base. We have a very strong call center that talks to the parents. We have a research that we call a thermometer. We assess each book that we send, so we have a very constant feedback from our readers. And for us, this is the basis of the planning for the next year. So right now we are receiving the books from the publishers and we are analyzing what we are going to do next year. So the pequeno consciente or little conscience has always been part of our work. And in 2015, together with the books, we sent a seed of a native tree from Brazil. And we always send something that complements the reading and that makes the family to feel more involved with the topic. And ODS probably will be something to add to all of this. Have talked about libraries and the choices. And your choice, right, Cynthia, in the curatorship, something that always comes to me, I write to the final public, parents, teachers, about the difficulty to choose good books. Before the pandemic, we would go to libraries, but now we go to the virtual libraries, and several times it's very difficult to make the right choice. And it's very important to have a list with so many seals of quality with relevant topics. So it's very, very good the work you do. So now we will go to the third phase, the questions from the audience. Betty talked about it, but I will rephrase the questions. Silvania Vitoria asks about the criteria for the choice of the books. You started talking about the quality as an essential point, but I'd like to add something. Did you worry about the variation of authors, the variation of illustrators, variation of publishers? What was the main focus? Well, the criteria that we use, which is the same for the selection, is the quality. Don't check the publishers, the number of authors. We analyze the book that we have on our hands. And the quality for us, of course, quality of an art piece is always subjective. So it will reflect a history, a background that each of the voters have, and the foundation also has. So it's not a rule that you can give a grade. And we actually uh, focus on the text originality. There's a group that forms the book, the cover, the content, the inside, the illustration. But we do not worry about how many publishers and so far. And I'm not sure if I have told you, 52 publishers were actually uh, with us. So we didn't expect to have this number. We didn't expect it even to have the 175. So there was publishers with lots of books. There were publishers with us only one book. So uh, our objective wasn't to contemplate a certain number of publishers. We actually analyzed the book itself. And our criteria is expressed in the history of the reading and the feedback we had from our readers. And several people have been part of our group of voters. And we already have this mark right now. Our selections are based the for some awards. And we have 3 awarded books, Ania Machado and Roger Mello. So the quality of the Brazilian book has an international acknowledgement, and this makes us strong to know that our criteria are important criteria and that they define. And of course, always there will be one book that could be there and that is not. It will actually reflect the subjective that is constructed by the history of readers of each of the voters that we choose and that we include in our team. I believe that I have answered the question from Silvania. Yes, you did, Betty. Karine, there's a question for you from Regina Garcia. Besides the list, will there be mediation or formation of mediators? Not directly through this action. Training mediators or forming mediators and other professionals that are related to the book, the reading and literature can be worked through the library, through courses, formation courses, but in this project, no. This project is dedicated to disseminate this list so that the books could be used in other actions. Another question for Karine or Betty, if both of you want to answer. Sala de leitura, reading room. He says, it's very important to open opportunities for new authors. Have you thought of an editor to invite them? No. Well, we have an invite for new authors who are specifically working on these topics. And the relationship of authors has to be with the publisher. So the question is about a bid, right? So you have to think on the profile of each publisher so that they do not waste their work. So when the authors ask me, how do I introduce a book or present a book, or how can I publish a book? So the first point is the research that the author has to do with regards to the type of text they have versus the type of publishers that work with that kind of book. So if they do not introduce to the correct publisher, they will have a no as an answer. But specifically answering no, we didn't think of any bid because this work has to be directed to the editors, to the publishers. Do you want to add something? No, I believe that you answered very clearly, but the concern with the new authors is a concern that we have. So there is always an award for new authors and new illustrators. Usually it's given to the awarded one. So as Karine said, you have to go after the correct publisher and you should forward your book to them. There's another question here. G.A. Freud is asking about how to participate in the selection if there is vacants for independent authors. Well, when Betty said, she mentioned some information about this. Just to add, Bia, it was open for any publisher, for any person who had a published book, an independent author, and no enrollment fee was charged so that there was no limitation and everybody could participate. Thank you, Karine. And there's a question here for Roberta from Lucia Vieira. It's a broader question. How do you see the negligence of certain countries with regard to the 17 objectives of UNO? Thank you for the question. Well, I see it with a deep feeling of being so sorry. When we work closer to the ODSs, we learn that it's on our hands to help the country to recover this flow, to try to reach the objectives, whether by votes, whether by proposals together with non-governmental organizations, or through charges, charging the politicians. I usually say that our major power is in our vote, we who live in democracies. So through the vote, we can actually be able to have laws that will make reaching our objectives easier. And these laws have to become projects for quality education for all, for access to house and home for all. And of course, today, when we check the sustainable objectives, we can see that the world stepped backwards, and it's almost impossible to have a country with zero deficit in terms of education, health. Once we had the pandemic, some diseases were put aside. In Brazil, we know that we have several people that are not going to school. So we have a problem there, but everybody should stop and reorganize. So now is the time when we citizens can make our vote valid. And also we can charge things to happen. We can actually want our school to be better, our public health system to improve. If my municipal government is not good enough, I have to remember who are the politicians I voted so that I can make this agenda to happen. Sometimes we have a mistaken idea that, oh, I voted and I did my part. No, we have the power to actually complain, to have our voices heard, because through this, you can actually foster changes. Thank you, Roberta. We are reaching the end, and I want to take the chance to invite all of our audience. Today at 4 p.m., we have a second roundtable about the ones who actually take the stories. The participants are Julia Schwartz, publisher of Companhia das Letras, Miriam Leitão, writer, and also a friend of mine. She's a journalist, Roger Melo, an illustrator and writer, Soraya, and Suelen Camila Ferreira, a librarian. The mediator, the moderator will be Adriana Ferrari. She is the president of FEBABI. I want to say thank you to all our guests. Thank you very much. It was a great honor to have you here in this debate. And I will actually open for your last words and last considerations. I will use the same alphabetical order that I used since the beginning. So I will start with Cynthia, please. Well, I want to say that this catalog has to grow, this list has to grow. We have a big yearly production, and revisiting it is always important. So here is my desire that it doesn't stop in 175 books. Leiturinha and all the shipments that we do, more than 40% are exclusive launchings from the publishing agencies. So we actually share them, and after they are launched into the market. So we understand that this is very important, and I hope that we have more books to be added to this club. Thank you. Thank you for the possibility to speak. Betty. Well, I'd like to say that we understand that in Brazil, the 2030 agenda is not part of our concerns. And from our side, it was a possibility to participate in this election, in this moment that brought and introduced to us as a foundation the concern and the possibility to work with literary books to contribute for the objectives of the sustainable development. So we want to congratulate this initiative. I have already said this to UNO, as Karine has already described, and I see this moment as a mark. And for sure, we have several other books to actually include in this list. So our voice right now is for saying thank you, to ask everybody to hold hands and the messages of ODSs. There is a beautiful video that I believe is available in the chamber. Uh, Nobody's left behind, something like this. It's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful video in Portuguese, black and white. It's an impactant video. Here's my suggestion, because I said that we have to become rationals, and we also have to think about the emotions, because the emotion is what makes us hold hands and move forward. Thank you, Beth. Jorge, your last considerations, please. I want to say thank you. It's a great honor, and I hope that this partnership is just the beginning, because now we have a very strong role to strengthen this group. Adding to what Regina said, FEBABI has already in its plan to do the mediation or the moderation work in this reading club. And I invite the public to visit this list, to use it in the municipal, state, and federal systems, and we will be aligned with all the libraries, and we will have a group for vulnerable groups having access to libraries. We want to have a mediation process around this list so that we can amplify this reading group. So thank you very much for being part of this group today. Thank you, Jorge. Karine. Thank you, Bia, once again. I just want to talk a little bit more about the afternoon roundtable. We actually tried to join all the agents of the book dissemination chain. We have a publisher, an author, an illustrator, so that they can talk on their personal experience or professional experience, how these books will be part of the change of a generation. And I believe that this will be very important, very interesting, a very productive debate is about to happen, and how this reading group will move forward thinking about each possibility. So this is the objective of the afternoon debate. I have the video with me ready to be exhibited. I can share it at the end of our debate right now. Roberta. Hi, Pia, my colleague. I want to say thank you once again for the invitation and all the effort to put into working with the UNO team from New York. I believe that it's very important to work as you worked, and I want to invite everybody who is participating of this live to exercise the sustainable development objectives, because they are our homework. And I will actually share in the chat of YouTube the address of the UNO website in Brazil, where you can find more information, and also our social network, where we have videos, some campaigns, showing that it's possible, sometimes with little attitudes, such as freezing foods that you would waste, or donating something that you're no longer using, recycling things, you will be actually doing your work. Sometimes people say, oh, but if only I do this. Well, if nobody does it, that's what we have to think. If we have many people doing just a little, it will become a major thing. So I hope that we have other actions, and I hope that this initiative inspire authors to produce children's and youth books focused on the sustainable development. And I believe that this can be not only very important, but impactful for people's lives. Thank you, Roberta. And Vitor, your considerations. I just want to say thank you very, very much, Cíntia, Roberta, Elizabeth, Karine, Jorge, and you, Bia, for the moderation of this debate, and the audience who are following and watching us in the Brazilian Chamber of Book. As the president of the Brazilian Chamber of Book, my message is the Brazilian Chamber of Book is and will always be open to all the initiatives when we talk about dissemination of book, dissemination of literature, and dissemination of knowledge. This is our mission. And when we make partnerships with other entities, I feel very, very happy and comfortable because I see and I feel that this is our role as a chamber and that people understand that the Brazilian chamber is very important for all of this. And when we say sustainable development, it gives the sensation of what is development? And let's stop to develop the nation, technology, due to the development of the sustainable aspects. No, it's joining everything for a better world. Let's develop everything, but we have to respect the environment, the ecology, and people, and even the diversity that exists in a society such as our society right now. Also, I'd like to say that we also do a very strict selection of the candidates, of the ones who are enrolling to the Jabuti Award. We already have a very important point uh, to say that the finalists of the Jabuti Award could interact with the reading club because of our contemplation, such as the children literature, the children and youth literature. We contemplate the authors and illustrators, and Bia and all the audience. It's already open. The enrollment for or applications can be done for the next Jabuti Award. And we have a surprise. We are open until the 5th of July for applications, and the number of books that are already enrolled is above our expectations. I believe we will have more than 2,460 books this year. And this number I said was from last year. I believe this year will be bigger. We will have more people, more books enrolled. So for next year, I hope, and we have actually postponed the international book show. It will happen in July 2022. I hope everybody will have had the COVID shot. And then we will see this bibliodiversity, this quantity of families having direct contact with the books that will be exhibited in the show. I'm very happy to be part of this major action that was brought to us by Karine and that actually uh, was helped by you in this reading club. I believe that this number of books, 175, will grow even more. Thank you. Thank you for all of you. Thank you for your time. We will actually share and the video that Betty said. And the last message of the video is not to leave anyone behind. Every day, more than 30,000 people are forced Now it's about children who are not going to school, victims of child labor, one on each 3 women will be a victim of violence. It's the life of these people that the objectives can change. The objectives can change the world for all. And year after year, objective by objective, if we all work together to reach them. All of us have a mission. I also have mine. I left my husband and I'm living with a fellow woman. I have a strong voice. And we need to say to the world that we exist and that we are here. And I'm sure that the misery, the poverty, or extreme poverty are not part of the destination of the humanity. My son has received his diploma. He will not be like me. He's a step ahead. And he can dream of a better future. We can't leave anyone behind. All the objectives should be reached by everyone. Here's the promise of not leaving anyone behind. So everybody has a opportunity in life and we need everybody to fulfill this promise. And in order to know what to do, access this website. That's it, Bia. Thank you very much.